So I hope we're back. I do apologise. As I say, it seems to have keeps going off. I'm not sure. I must. Maybe you have to keep doing something to it. So sorry, my daughter's just telling me that he keeps going off on the laptop. So this is another watercolour. If I keep it still, you might be able to see that you can get some lovely watercolour muted effects, and yet not even go through on the other side, which I found quite amazing. Because if you wanted to do, I mean, that's a beautiful little pink, very delicate pink, for delicate flowers. So I thought that, and I think they were in the pound shop as well. And unfortunately, because there were 4 in the different set, I had to have all 4. This was from the original colouring of the Gansai Tambi, and they are a lot more vibrant. But of course, that's the colour almost neat from the brush. That was another couple of pages. I hope there's no glare. And that's when they were getting paler and paler, so I coloured that in. This wasn't, but that was from that was when the purples were quite deep and the greens. The colours doesn't really show up very well on there, but they are quite a nice colour. That was another one where I used the greens. And again, I don't like mandala, or I didn't like mandala patterns, but now I find that I do. But at first I thought they would be quite monotonous, and so I prefer something like this. Now this was done, I think I showed a video of that. I did that in the car, started it in the car, and again, nice soft watercolors. And if you work fairly damp but gently, that will give you a lovely watercolor effect without all the drippage. And I love watercolors, but yeah, having a whole pad paper, wet paper, and we used to have to stick it down to make sure that then when it dried it didn't shrink, and then you don't get any shrinkage, and then you can watercolor to your heart's content. But you know, swishing lots of color and lots of water around isn't really my idea of fun. So the other thing that I do, which I thought I would share with you, is these magic things here. Called Chameleon colour tones. Now I wonder if we're frozen, because I do apologise, but I seem to have done something strange. Why on earth would I do that? And I'm so sorry, but I seem to have... I wonder if that's going to do any different. Let's just see. Hopefully it might do. I did watch quite a lot of things how to do this, but then unfortunately I think it's like everything. So I will carry on, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm talking to myself. Although I think my daughter's watching, just to make sure you can see everything in frame, because that's another trick that I didn't want to do. So the Chameleon pens, they are a little bit expensive. I don't work, and I couldn't justify these. So my daughter is doing graphic design at college and university, so I invested in some so that I could have a play. And I wish I hadn't, because I'm going to lose these in September. I love the box. idea was, because they come in this little box, it's an A4 size, so that could go into the back of her backpack, her college backpack, and she would have 200 colours. The whole world's crashing around my ears now. 200 colours here, because obviously for graphics they need markers for doing faces and comic strips and things like that. So they would be perfect. So I bought her this set, and then I thought I gotta have a play, which, as I say, was a bit of a mistake because I'm now going to lose them. I did make a couple of videos about how I made, I think it was this page. This was my very first attempt to play with these fantastic markers, and I will pull these out of here because it completely goes through the back. So if you want to, I decided that I would photocopy them. So this is an original page from an original book, and it's done very well. And this was my second attempt, and I decided that I would photocopy it. And really, they seem to have taken the colour exactly the same. This is proper paper, what I would call proper. It's a normal page, and this is thin photocopy paper. And of course it went straight through, but it was just a practice. This was my second time ever using the pens, but they are really easy to use. And because I would think if you were making if you were doing a rose, you would have to use probably 3 or 4 different pens, because you have the ink slowly dispersing back into the solution. It automatically blends it for you, and you just have to do it once across the whole petal, and you get this beautiful pattern. Basically you hold the pen upside down and you count to how many. You get used to counting for bigger petals and smaller petals, and then when you get to the right amount, I always used to tap it on the side just to make sure that I'd done it correctly and it was the right colour. And then you start and you just go straight across, and then eventually the blue will come until it goes to its original colour, normally at the end. So this is the original colour of the marker, and this is when it's completely blended with solution. And if you go in between, then you get pales and darks, and if you go right to the to completely saturate it for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, you get almost white, and then you get the gradation of colour. I can't speak today. You get the colour going from pale to dark. Oh my. I do apologise. The cat's just arrived now. It is a zoo around here. So that was my first attempt. That's on photocopy paper. That was my third attempt, and as you see, they do bleed through. But after I decided that it sat lovely, and I got better and better at it, because the colours on that one were really, really lovely. I did that one, the last one, and again I decided that I would do a paler version. So these are the exact same 20 pens. I'm just using one pen did each flower, so that's how many colours. And then that's a darker version. And then I was watching Dee Willingham, who is Inky Well and Coffee Night in the Morning on Ustream, and she had a black background, and I thought a dark background, I thought that would be really good. So I used the marker, which did very, very well, and it went very, very flat, which I was very surprised at, because normally markers have marks, the pen marks between them, but it didn't. And then I decided that I would have a go at skin on a person. This is from the Colouring Enchanted Fairies book. Now I've seen this book for a lot of money yesterday, 6, 7, 8.99, and I think I paid £1 for this. So that was rather scary, because there she is, look. And I wanted to do it in the pale colours, in watercolours, but I also wanted to do it in ink 10s. And it seems to do quite well. So I think that's probably the next one that I'm going to do. So probably next week, if I get the camera sorted to stream next week, I will colour her in with the blendable Chameleon pens, and I will colour her in the watercolour, because I think that would be quite good to do the same image but in different mediums, because I think it's quite interesting. And then that was another one that I was practicing with. I think that's the end now. Yes. I did, my husband bought me some Prisma pencils, and I thought, well, I will have a go. I quite enjoyed it, but my hand was hurting after the first 5 minutes, and I vowed that I would never do another one because my hand was hurting for about a week. So I know that although I have a lot of coloured pencils and a lot of felt pens, the Chameleon pens are the only ones I can use, because they have big chunky tops that you can pull on and pull off, and they're not little tiny ones, or pencil sharpeners and things. So unfortunately that isn't an option for me. I will use the blendable pens until my daughter takes them away, and that's the blendable pens as well. But I decided to use them as an ordinary marker because they're double-ended. So at one end, well, you have a brush end, and you have a bullet end and a brush end. And so I decided to use the bullet end just as the pure colour that they are on the end. So that's the steadfast colour you get by not blending anything in there. So they are still lovely markers, just used as they are. So you're getting, and I do love the stand-up, the stand that they come with. That is brilliant, because you can get to them, and as I say, you can actually pull the tops off quite easily. My hands are particularly bad today, but I can actually do them. Normal pens I wouldn't be able to do that. And then you use the blending chamber. But because they are quite chunky and there's a good snap to them, that you know that once you've put the lid on there, it is safe, and they're going to last quite a while. And they do have refillable inks and refillable nibs. They do actually send you. I think they're just, yes, they're that in there, in this one. They do send you a pack of reusable nibs, if you can see those. Because I must admit, they do tend to get quite a battering, do the pens. Having said that, because you can replace the nibs and you can refill the inks, that means that these pens will last forever, which, as a tight Yorkshire lass, is the reason why I bought them, because I thought my daughter would be bored and not use them. But when she's finished uni, then I will be trying to get them back from her. So I hope that was interesting, and I'm really upset about the chat. I'm not sure. I thought somebody would tell me to do something else. Again, I photocopy them, even though they are one-sided. I thought I'd photocopy them. So what I'll do is I'll stop this video, and I will start again, and hopefully my chat might come through this time. And if it does, I will do a watercolour, because I quite like, this is another one from a pound shop. Now, I did plan a giveaway because I was so impressed with how gorgeous this paper was. That was my thumper, and I can't find it. Oh, this is the original. Oh, that must have been a photocopy. This is an original of the the delicate little pattern, and then that was on the other side, and that was the tiger that I used. Tiger as a tiger, and again I have photocopied it, and that's as wet as it gets on the back, and those are very dark professional Hydrus watercolors which are light fast, and I used my little book of watercolors. And again, I say that's why it's quite messy, because I used the greens and the blues and the pinks and the reds, and then I used the yellows. But for a palette, that was quite good. That colour has all come from here. It's just because I shut it before I wanted to go away, and I shut it before I'd let them dry. But basically all I did was I shook the bottle up, I unscrewed. Again, if I had to do that 3 or 4 times a day, that would drive me insane. And then I just put a drop on like that. And then I left it to dry. And they look like that. This was an experiment that didn't work. These are my daughters. Dear, why did your brain go down all the same? Contact lenses. And I decided that that would be perfect little shell to hold extra, because at first I just put a tiny drop, but actually that probably is the same amount, and that when that dries it will just sit like this, and that one, and that one. And again, because they are so as I work quite dry, I can just touch that one, but I can't do that now with that one. And all that is still back to the pure colour. And the more water you add, you can get some lovely watercolour effects. And that's my water pot, which I can't hold very well. So I won't shut that because that is very, very wet, and I don't want to squish it. I want it to sit like that. So I shall pop that out of the way a minute. But I will no doubt shut that. So that was the Tigger, using the Dr. Mountain's Hydrus watercolours. So I bought this book, and as I say, it was in the pound shop, but the patterns are very intricate. But I must admit, I think I like every single one. And I love the cream ivory paper. I thought that was really lovely. And the quality of the paper and the quality of the designs is really very good. And I seem to have... I'm not sure why I seem to have frozen, but I hope it's just me. I hope it's not just me, I should say. As I say, I did love every single one, but the thing is, I would want to do that in ink 10s, but I would want to do that in very pale watercolours, and then I would like to do a dark, very dark background, and do it in the peerless watercolours, or the Caran d'Ache colour too, because it lends itself to vibrant, but then it lends itself to a very delicate butterfly. I was just, it's not, I bought 4 or 5 books. I've only just started colouring in, because I normally colour my own designs, which I've been doing this for 30 years. That's a lion. So I thought, but I do think I like every single one. So I bought 6 of these books because that was £6. But most of them would lend themselves to vibrant tulips and swirls, and then little delicate pale lemons and pinks. And they vary slightly as well. So that's, again, a mixture of all the colours that I use. And that is a very similar pattern to the original one I did with the watercolours. And I started this one, which was again just with one, I think it's the olive green. And it is actually one continuous line. I hadn't realised when I first did it, it's almost one continuous line. So it's like a fat line drawing. So I'm going to do all that in greens, I think. I thought I'd do it in the greens. And that is the same, it's the same paintbrush, it's the same, and I managed to get a lovely little watercolour effect. As they go along, you can change the colour. And I'm pretty sure, I can't look at it now, I think it's the Derwent pencil olive green. The Derwent watercolour olive green, but I'll have a look for that one out. I'll probably do a video of how I paint that one, but again you need quite a fine brush. I'm not sure how you would do this with, you see, I couldn't get in there with a brush, with a pencil. That's quite fine, is that? And my hands don't work very well, so I managed to just get a nice angle to it to make it really, really neat. But I couldn't do that with a pencil. I would be over the lines. So I thought that, I mean, that probably is a bigger design, would be quite nice with the Chameleon blendable pens. So I will try to do that next time, but obviously you need chat for that. So I will try and sort that out. But that's the number on it. I don't know where you'd find it. In the UK, it was in the pound shop. But I was very, very impressed with the quality of the paper, and it did take the watercolour very well. So I'll stop this video, and then I shall do another one, and I probably actually will colour this in. I think I will colour this one in a little while, or maybe this one. I will have to take that paint off that one, I think, because it'll squash. I might do some more to this one. But I was going to ask if anybody had any requests, because again I could have done or I could possibly do this lady in the Chameleon pens. Because she's quite I think I'll do that. I think I'll stop the video, and then I'll do this one in the Chameleon pens, but I'll photocopy it twice, and then I shall do it in a watercolour, in a pale watercolour, using the probably the Tricati Gansai Tambi watercolours. So thank you for watching, and if I'd say I think only my daughter's watching, so it was supposed to be live, and I am live, but only just. So if you're watching on YouTube, then I've been talking to myself for quite a long time. So I hope you found this interesting, and thank you for watching.